Yes, you are welcome back. It's still Sportsville. Breeding young talent is the purpose for the youth games, despite some states are cutting corners to ensure that they are crowned champions. But you want to say it's time for us to be looking at athletes in no distance time that would begin to bring us global recognitions and honors. We have live with us on the show at this time from his base in Abuja, the former Minister of Youth and Sports Development, Solomon Dalung. A pleasure having you on Sportsville this afternoon.
Matthew, good afternoon, and thank you for the opportunity again.
Yes, it's been a while you left the saddle. Firstly, some Nigerians would like to know what you've been into since you left the responsibility of being the sports minister.
Well, since I left office, I've been I'm still in politics and human rights practice as a lawyer. And I'm also into some community services because, having served your country, you have the opportunity and the experience now to give it back to the community. So it has been what I've been doing for the past 5 years. But I'll be venturing into peace building and conflict resolution as a career for the future.
Yes, let's talk the National Youth Games. Asaba is agog as we speak, and this event seems to got plenty of support under your leadership. Will you say the purpose for the setting up of the National Youth Games in the first place is still being achieved?
Well, the concept of the National Youth Games originated from the fact that the National Sports Festival, which was more or less an elite competition to showcase our talent, hadn't enough space for younger talents. So it was an all-comers affair where younger talents come from the states to compete with elite athletes. So the idea of having a special festival as a boarding hub for young talents was initiated by my predecessor. Unfortunately, it was abandoned. So when I came on board in 2015, Nigeria was at zero level in terms of performance everywhere in sports. Our podium performances was nowhere. We were not in any international competition, whether football or any other sports. It was only the women football that was successful. So I now looked at the background again and I discovered that the elite athletes were even spent because we were recycling the same people for over a period of 20 years. So I decided to now look for an avenue where we can harvest young talents and prepare them in a data, package them so that will not be deficient anytime again in the future. Because every year we will be rolling them out. So that was the motivating factor. And I went for the revival of the National Youth Games. Unfortunately, I didn't have budgetary support from the National Assembly. So I had to go out of my way sourcing for funds from well-wishers, corporate Nigeria, governors, and my friends. So they funded, basically were funding it. The budget even in 2017 for the National Youth Game was even insufficient enough to cover the logistics arrangement, not to talk of other things. So that was how I sustained it, because it was very passionate to me, and it was the only way to go to rescue Nigerian sports. So the new minister will need to revisit two documents I left behind. The National Sports Reforms Committee report, which comprehensively designed a sports architecture that will launch Nigeria into greatness, which I started implementing before I left office. It's very, very important. There are enough inputs there as to how the National Youth Games can move forward. Secondly, My handing over note is also comprehensive enough. I suggested so many ways of dealing with the administration of the National Youth Games.
Yes, it's been an interesting conversation with you, but before we let you go, a new man is on the saddle at this time to gaffer sports to greater heights in the country. What would be your advice to the current Minister of Sports, John Eno, on navigating through very difficult parts in the Nigerian sports ecosystem?
For anybody to succeed as a minister of sports in Nigeria, he must first convince himself what did he want to achieve and how would he want to be remembered. And once he arrives at this, he has to take the issues very, very seriously. The problem of sports is underfunding. The Nigerian government still considers sports as a recreation. And so the budget for sports is so paltry, so embarrassing, that the minister is always a scapegoat. He is always like Joseph of Arimathea, who helped Jesus Christ carry his cross to Golgotha. Secondly, the minister must be firm. He must be very, very firm. And he must correct the leadership administrative deficit that has been recreated in 2019. Presidents of the federations should be elected popularly by the congresses. So anybody who seeks to lead a sport, national federation, should win the minds of the members of that federation and not the minister. Sacrifice the power to appoint 155 members of the board and through it to election. Because I believe that it is only democracy that can save. So he must democratize the national federation. He must also understood that the in-house fighting in this federation is about the money. I have said this and I will repeat. The money in sports is more than petrol. The wealth in sport is more than petrol. And it is only sports that can create a billionaire. No other industry that does that.
Yes, it's been a pleasure talking to you, former Minister of Sports, Honorable Solomon Dalung. We are immensely grateful for your time with us on the show.
Thank you, Matthew, and the engineering team and everybody in the house. God bless Nigeria.